Check one. Check one. Brakati Hawa, Brakati Hawashai, Brakati Hawa, Brakati Hawashai, Brakati Hawa, Brakati Hawashai, Kohaloyim, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock of Israel. Shalom and salutation to you brothers out here, push the words of truth and sincerity. Shalom, shalom to all the elect, Akim, Aqua, scattered Israelites, Israelite foreigners. I will rock this video will be edifying. The title, Amr Padma, the title is Your Calling. Discover your calling and thrive with gentleness. I know right away, that word gentle, you probably thinking about, another one of these, but through the spirit, it's going to be edifying, it's going to be edifying. Abaratazai, right? That word gentleness will throw you off. It'll throw you for a head spin, especially amongst a group of men, but the Lord teaches us to look deeper into meanings and search and seek the scriptures for more understanding. We have all these tools at our disposal: Blue Letter, Interlinear, the Greek, the Hebrew, and the platform is provided for us to learn. You got YouTube, you got the elders making videos and teaching us how to go into words and go into the Greek and Hebrew meanings of words, so you don't have to get thrown off and you're hearing a word like gentleness or gentle and think that's going to be some type of some type of worldly soft crap. This is not in no form or fashion going to be some worldliness, right? This is going to be teaching about what that word means according to the scriptures. All right, so first and foremost, without further ado, let me go right into it. Let's see here. All right, so what you have before you is the Blue Letter, and I'm starting off with the book of Philippians 4 and verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Now, this scripture the Lord really just hit me with this scripture all day, and I just had to write it down so that I came back to it. And, I looked into it enough where it was good enough to be a show. And here it is. So I brought this out edifying now. Philippians 4 and 5. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. And the emphasis again on the Lord is at hand. So we know it's dealing with the time now, right? We know it's dealing with the end times. The Lord is at hand. That's dealing with right now, as opposed to back when they wrote it. And they wrote it for us now because obviously reincarnation, right? And so let your moderation be known unto all men. That's what we dealing with here today in this topic. All right. The topic again being discover your calling and thrive with gentleness. And I know I'm like you, that word gentle, man, but it's all throughout the scriptures. So you got to deal with it, right? The word gentle, or you might hear the word feeble. You might hear the word love. See, at Great Millstone, we're going to go into the words. We're going to go into the meanings, and that's going to really bring out the light in what Paul is saying to the church of Philippi or Philippi. So let your moderation be known unto all men. Let's go right into it. That's Strong's G 1933. G stands for Greek. H stands for Hebrew. So it's a Greek word. And the pronunciation down here says epiakes. Epiakes. All right. Now, this Greek word for moderation comes from two root words. The first one being Strong G 1909. 1909. And that says upon, at, by, to. All right. That's just like a prefix, I guess. And then we're going to focus on the second root word, which is Strong's G 1503. That's the Hebrew word eiko or eco. I mean, the Greek word eco. That means to be like. So right now, the word moderation in the root is to be like. Okay. As you go down, you'll see the idea of faintness as a copy. All right. Whenever you hear the word copy, you think of an imitation. Well, in this idea, you have to think of an imitation. Moderation, root word to be like, goes into the idea of faintness as a copy, to resemble, not to be the actual, but to be a resemblance of something, not to be the original, but to be a copy of something. It says apparently, a primary verb, the idea of faintness in a copy, resemble something, to resemble. All right, bear with me. Let's get at something. For example, they give two examples of how it's used in the scriptures. Resemble, James 1:6. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of sea driven. And then they give an example. That's like I forget that English word for that. That's a simile, right? Or a metaphor. He is like a wave in a sea driven, tossing to and fro. He's not the wave, but he's like the wave. We understand that. Jake speaks in all type of similes and metaphors and triple entendres. We understand that. So it's not actually he a wave, but he's like a wave. All right. So let's now we see it's a copy of something, or it's like a simile of something. It's apparently something, but it's not the original. That's what the word is going into for moderation. Again, let your moderation be known unto all men. What is this moderation? That's like a copy or faint of something. Let's go into it. Moderation. First word pops up, seeming. Now, when you look up seeming, it'll say like it has a connotation of deceptiveness to it, but it's not quite that. Seeming, appearing to be real or true, but not necessarily being so, but it's apparent. So seeming has everything to do with the outside of something. Surface level is what we're talking about. Seeming. Another one is suitable, right? When you look up suitable, something to be suitable. This is the definition for moderation. Let your moderation be seen of all men. Showing suitability or being suitable has everything to do with a job or a task or a position, all right, or a role that's being fulfilled, all right, a position. Why? Let your moderation be shown unto all men. Why does it have anything to do with suitable? It's because in order to be moderate of something, you have to know what you're fitting into. You have to know the role in which you need moderation for. You got to know what you're appearing to be like. You have to know what you're copying. You have to know what that role is first and foremost. You got to know the role. You got to know you was slow your roll. You got to know the role. So suitability by definition means demonstrating that you're the right person for a particular job or role. In order to do that, you got to know the role. And that's why we've been called back to a vocation. Vocation meaning like a profession. Paul uses the word profession or vocation, meaning a job, a task, a role, right? The spirit of the prophet is subject unto the prophets, meaning prophets come back into their role, and you shall come back into your lot at the end time. This is a lot or a role of a position that we fill in, that we were designed to fill, and we have to be suitable to fill that. All right. Suitable also highlights, it goes into that you got the relevant skills and experiences to align yourself with the position requirements. Suitable. Again, you just can't just fill a role and just say, nah, I got this. You actually got to know the role, right? Then you got to knowing the role allows you to be confident in your ability to carry out the role. Then you can have some enthusiasm with the role. You can do the role your way. Now you can do it your way and be, good at it, so to speak. So let your moderation be known unto all men. You see this moderation here? It also refers to patience. It also refers to gentleness. That's where you get the topic. All right, the title today of the video again, discover your calling and thrive with gentleness. We're going to go into gentleness in a hot second, right? But suitableness, again, what you have to demonstrate that you're suitable for the role, right? And in doing that, you have the relevant skills for the role. You got to know what the role entails and that you're capable and confident of doing it and handling it. And in the scriptures, what do we know about the roles that the Lord is going to have us fulfill in these end times, being a part of the hopeful elect? Prophet, apostles first, right? Apostles, prophets, teachers, right? Men with exhortation, Men who have be able to break down different languages, speaking in tongues, right? Then you have helps. So everybody has a role. You're suitable for the role when you know the role and you have the relevant skills to fulfill it, right? So that's what moderation goes into. Now it says equitable, right? When you go into equitability, as a definition, it actually means fair and impartial, right? But when you keep searching for it, it's dope because it says something along the lines of, and I'm gonna pull it up in a second. It means something along the lines of when somebody's equitable, they know that everybody's not built the same. They know that everybody's um not in the same mind frame. Equitability actually means to be fair and impartial, which means that some people might not be at the right level. In order to be equitable for them, they might need more. You have to adjust. You have to be fair to where that person's is at. That's what equitability goes into, right? That's what equitability goes into. Equal, right? And equitability are similar. But equitability again goes into where somebody lacks, so to speak. If you know where somebody lacks, you know how to give this man a little more grace concerning this man. You know how this man is much more consistent. He don't need as much attention. It's the saying, the noisiest wheel gets the oil. That's what equitability is all about. That's what being equitable is about. It's about knowing where and who at your position needs your attention more or less, right? And then it says fair. That's equitable, fair, right? Mild, right? And when you dealing with the word mild, as you go down here, this is all dealing with the word moderation in the Greek. It also means mildness, right? Or AKA, it says here appropriate. So it's not that everybody gets the same. That wouldn't be appropriate. It's not that everybody has the same lot. We know that. So the separation of lots means that men's offices are going to be different, but it's all one body. Just like the hand got a different position to fill than the foot, but they both are a part of the body and help the body simultaneously, doing very different things, but joined together on one body. That's how the body of Yahushua operates. Different positions doing appropriately their jobs, and they're using moderation, which goes into the word mildness, right? And to be mild, there's a saying, mild mannered. Mild basically means to be gentle and soft in your actions and words. And again, you look up the root word of moderation, it'll go into to be like something. So it's not that you are, because you being soft towards somebody, you a soft man. It's not getting control. You have now the appearance of a soft person for that situation. It's not that when you're being gentle, you are now some type of sweetheart and people could take advantage of you. You are being gentle in that situation. The scriptures tells you, be not a lion in your own house. That doesn't mean that when you leave your house, you are some type of gentle bird who could, or some type of pushover. That just means in the presence of your family, inside your own house, you are using the appropriate and suitable task or job or mannerisms of a mild-mannered, gentle, and moderate person. If your daughter comes up to you and says something, you might behave a certain way towards her, showing equity, knowing that she's of the weaker vessels, so forth and so on. Her brain cognitive abilities is much different than your 15-year-old son, so forth and so on. This is all in one word: moderation. Equitable, right? Fair. What's fair? To treat your 21-year-old son like your 2-year-old daughter? That's not fair. That's not appropriate. But this is what you learn in the truth. Again, being gentle, as you have here by definition, mild, gentle. Being gentle in the situation might call for you to have more soft or gentle words and gentle actions towards somebody to get to deal with them, right? You might speak more calmly with them in that appropriate situation at that time. You might listen more actively at that time. You might avoid being too forceful and aggressive at that time for that very situation at that moment. You might be more kind and considerate at that moment. You might lead with kindness at that moment. You might try to see it from their perspective at that moment. This is all going into being gentle or being mild, right? Being gentle is very similar to that. Listening actively, and you might actually speak softer. Try to take your forcefulness down a second, a little bit less aggressive. You might be a little more patient and understanding with somebody who needs it. As you see, and you go down to this definition for it says what is reasonable. And if you're being honest, again, would you deal with your 22-year-old son the same way you deal with your toddler? Nah, you're gonna have way more gentleness and kindness, and you're gonna be less forceful with the girl than you are the boy. Yahweh Shah, what the words of the Lord says, who he love, he chasteneth. If he didn't love you, he wouldn't chastise you. That shows you there's a difference in appropriateness, right? Dealing with the situation or who it is, the Most High changes. To us, he seems harsh, right? I shall start at the house of Jacob. Persecution will start at the house of Israel, right? You shall go through Jacob's trouble. Right now, it seems as if the Most High being harsh on us, very soon he's going to be gentle. After that harshness is over, after we've been chastised, after we've been afflicted, through much tribulation shall you enter into the kingdom of heaven. So the Most High really, actually, in all actuality, you being chastised, you being purged, he treating you rough. And that's right. It's not bad. It's appropriate for him to handle his loved ones like that, just as you would handle an actual son of yours. You wouldn't allow him to do, right? But very soon he's going to be. So that word moderation is whatever is appropriate, which you cannot rule out the actual use of being gentle. You cannot rule out because that man at that time might need more gentle consideration, less than aggressive, forceful consideration. It depends on who you're dealing with. But this is what the Lord gives us. Now I'm gonna run through a few more of these precepts, and I'm gonna call it Philippians 4:5. Let your moderation or your equitability or your suitability, right? Your ability to demonstrate that this specific job needs this specific requires this specific skill. It says, let it be known to all men. And again, the root word of moderation goes into you like something. So you change that. So here it is. We might have been thinking that the whole time we are who we are, and no, you actually like water. Going back to that Bruce Lee quote, be like water. You're more like water. Because when water goes into the pot, it becomes the pot. When water goes into the cup, it becomes the cup. Be like water, right? Let your moderation be known unto all men. The fact that you can fluctuate for whatever is right for the job. It says the Lord is at hand. Always remembering that the reason why we're doing this, the reason why we become these different, use these different skills and adjust is because the Lord's at hand, man. It ain't about us. I'm gonna just stick to who I am and stay true to. Nah, you in this truth, you have a position to play, and that position might call for you to do this or do that. You can't always, like a bull, just horns down and run into a situation thinking they all the same. And that would make moderation, and that's known to all men. And people stand back and say, dang. Right? The scriptures even tell you a soft answer turneth away wrath. Well, if you always too hard, how you ever going to give that soft answer? What's going to happen to you when that wild man comes around? And of course, the Lord said, I'm going to give unto you words to say in that day. So the Lord always working through us with this wisdom to be able to perfect moderation, equity, knowing how much, right? In the another Salakia, one of the definitions I believe here was suitable, right? Suitability, knowing how much of this versus how much of that. What's a little too much, right? Moderation, and you look up that word, a moderate personality is somebody who, they say is finds the middle ground between being too outgoing and too reserved. That's a moderate person. That's moderate. You can even just look at yourself, or inflect on yourself and see, are you moderate based upon the situation? Are you too left or too much to the right? What are you? Do you have a balance? Moderation dealing with friendliness and approachability, right? Somebody who knows how to listen and observe. You're doing all of these things. You're using all your senses, and you're not just acting rash, right? Avoiding being too extreme or intense. You wouldn't call somebody moderate if they outside screaming at everybody around them, right? Striving for balance in your interaction with people. This is dealing with interactions with people. So now, by default, even if you just wanted to just be a caveman and be a monk and hibernate until the Lord come back, you can't. You gotta let your moderation be known unto all people. The Lord is at hand. Now you gotta deal with people, and you can't just deal with them any old way. You gotta deal with them moderately. I digress. Let's keep going. 1 Timothy 3:3. Not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, which you can accuse the guys over at the leaders over there at Sakari of that. A little greedy of filthy lucre. Everything's about a bag and a band-aid, man. Relax, bro. This money it's gonna be digitized very soon, man. The commercialization of the truth was not the way. Anyway, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient. Was that word go back into? Moderate. That means you're not gonna get what you want right when you want it. Sometimes you get what you get. And it says, not a brawler, not covetous. First, Titus 3:2. Speak evil of no man, to be no brawlers, but gentle. And again, that word gentleness, it throws everybody off, because you coming from the world, you probably was somewhat gentle. Maybe not. Maybe you was hard. But when you come into the truth, now you got to relax that hardness. You got to become more gentle. If you was too gentle, way too gentle, we use Christian church or whatever, shelter, and you come into this truth, you learn to pick up a little bit of austerity to you, man. So it's a balance. But then you don't go lean too far to either side. You use the balance and you actually do what's appropriate and necessary for the situation. Situation might call for you to be aggressive. Situation might call for gentleness. You got to be able to use the skills that you have for the position that you was called to do. And that's how you're going to thrive in it. Showing all meekness unto all men. So now it's pretty much designed for us to be more of the gentle sort, which means more friendly and approachable. The truth has taken a more like a 180 since, the beginning of YouTube, because it used to be about like, straight, anybody walking by, they get it, and a lot of camps still operate in that forcefulness, right? And some men are forward. You got to learn to deal with the forward and the gentle, as we have here. 1 Peter 2:18. Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the forward. So yeah, just like you're going to have men operating in the gentle and the good, and that's all right. You got men that's operating in the forward. Why? Because that might be for their position. That's their position. You might try to imitate that, but that's not for your position, so it's going to backfire. The hand got to know how to punch and to slap and to shake hands and to be gentle and do it all for whatever purpose it's called for. It's diverse like that. But it has a job, and it has multiple jobs within that. So sometimes your job will call for forward, sometimes it'll call for gentle. You gotta be subject to both of those men, whether you have a forward or a gentle leader over you. This not to say that the forward leader is being too forward. His position calls for it. Be subject to him. James 3 and 17. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality, without hypocrisy. So again, a moderate personality is dealing with finding the middle ground, right? You're not being too overly in every situation. Doesn't call for the same thing. That's basically it. Learning how to use moderation. Every situation doesn't call for the same thing. All right, I'm gonna end it there. Check the precepts. Make sure. All right. Hey, till next time. Shalom. Call Loyim Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah by Hashem Kakodah. Shalom.